talking about him. Look at it. This is the latest. Look at him. Here he goes again. Well, you know what here he goes again means? He's doing what he said he was going to do. He promised you he was going to do these things, and he walked into office week one, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's saying, y'all do something about it. And when you try to do something about it, he's going to say, look at them now. Now they're concerned about these issues. Were they talking about that during the campaign? Hell no. That's
Bill Maher and Stephen A. Smith are at it again, calling out their own side for losing touch with the very voters they claim to represent. Both lifelong Democrats, they insist their party can still defeat Donald Trump, but only if it's willing to break a few bad habits first.
Democrats up. Trump is cool now. He's not just the most powerful guy in the world and just made himself like the richest. He's actually kind of at 78. I mean, rappers like...
So, what exactly are those habits? Let's take a closer look. Maher's absolutely right. The surge in support for Donald Trump is nothing short of remarkable. Not long ago, the idea of Trump regaining real political momentum seemed almost laughable, especially after years of relentless attacks from left-leaning media outlets. They branded him unelectable, hoping to bury his political future under a pile of scandals and outrage. But here's the irony. The harder they tried to take him down, the stronger he became. Trump absorbed every headline, every smear, every attempt to silence him, and came out sharper for it. Now he's not just surviving, he's thriving. Even people who once couldn't stand him.
He was convicted on 34 felony counts. And the American people still said, he's closer to normal than what we see.
Exactly.
Left. That's what they're saying. He's closer to normal. Why? Because something that pertains, when you talk about the transgender community, for example, and you're talking about issues that pertain to less than 1% of the population, the Democratic Party came across as if that was a priority more so than the other issues. And so he comes into office. Now you're talking about childbirth, citizenship, and what have you. He knows that's not going to pass the mustard, but he knows that he made that promise. So when he shows up week one on Capitol Hill and he says, this is what we're going to do through an executive order, even though it's going to be shot down through the courts and what have you, he's saying, I kept my promise. A lot of other things that he's going to point to that he's going to try to do
are starting to take a second look. Drawn to his defiance and refusal to play by Washington's rules, in a twist no one saw coming, the media's obsession with destroying Trump may have done the opposite.
At the left, and you say, what promises did you keep? Now, you might know the answer to that. I'm certainly not questioning your knowledge about that at all. What I'm saying is, what resonated with the voter? What voter out there can look at the Democratic Party at this moment in time and say, there's a voice for us, somebody that speaks for us, that goes up on Capitol Hill and fights the fights that we want them fighting on our behalf. They didn't do that. And that's why their behinds are home, and that man is back in the...
turning him into the very symbol of resistance that millions now rally behind. I've said it countless times on this channel. Trump understood the assignment. He zeroed in on the core issues that actually keep Americans up at night: the economy, the border, and national security. While Democrats were busy twisting themselves into knots trying to appease every loud voice on the far left, Trump spoke directly to the frustrations of working-class Americans. He didn't bury his message in academic buzzwords or drown it in performative virtue signaling. He talked about job security, stability, and a sense of control over one's future. And that's what connected. To his credit, Bill Maher sees it, too. He's warned his own party time and again that chasing ideological purity while ignoring real, everyday concerns is a recipe for defeat.
This is the latest. Look at him. Here he goes again. Well, you know what here he goes again means? He's doing what he said he was going to do. He promised you he was going to do these things, and he walked into office week one, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's saying, y'all do something about it. And when you try to do something about it, he's going to say, look at them now. Now they're concerned about these issues. Were they talking about that during the campaign? Hell no. That's
Trump's strength was never about polish or presentation. It was about focus. He tuned in to what people felt, not what the elites thought they should feel. And that, more than anything else, made the difference. Beyond their muddled message, the left failed to truly represent its own people. Ordinary voters, once the backbone of the Democratic Party, began to feel abandoned, unheard, and politically homeless. They watched as party leaders fixated on identity politics. bureaucracy, and elite interests, while ignoring the everyday struggles of working families. Inflation soared, the border spiraled, and crime seeped into once safe neighborhoods. Yet their leaders seemed more concerned with earning applause on social media.
Yes, I'm not mad one because when I see, especially in the aftermath of the election, some of the things that transpired with the Democratic Party, you know, in effort to manipulate the election and the vote, it really ticked me off. When you hear people talking about practical things, and then I saw folks on the left basically trying to guilt me into voting for you. It bothered me. I might have ended up voting for Kamala Harris because I didn't like how Trump acts. But what I didn't do was call him a racist. I didn't call him a Nazi. I knew Trump before he ran for president.
Yeah.
We talked on the phone. We talk at basketball games or boxing events. I knew this man. And so some of the things that were being said about him, I knew were not true. And I was saying, come on, y'all, then you got to do better.
Media, then delivering real solutions. Under the Biden administration, that disconnect only grew worse. Promises of unity gave way to deeper division and widespread disillusionment. Many voters looked around and realized no one was fighting for them, no one addressing their rising rent, job insecurity, or sense of national uncertainty. Frustration turned into fatigue, and fatigue into detachment. The result: a growing wave of Americans ready to look elsewhere for leadership, anywhere but the party that once claimed to be their voice. That strategy of demonizing Trump worked once, but only once. In the last election, left-leaning media outlets successfully painted him as a national menace, a chaotic force destined to unravel
Democrats, because my issues, democracy, the environment, have no protectors now. Because you blew the election, I have nobody standing up for the two issues that are my issues, which is democracy and the environment. My two most important issues. Those are not priorities in the new administration.
America's future. For a while, that fear campaign stuck. But by 2023, cracks began to appear in the narrative. Many moderate liberals, worn down by inflation, rising crime, and endless culture wars, started to wonder whether the real problem was Trump or the establishment that kept warning about him. The media's caricature no longer matched the reality people were seeing for themselves. Trump, for all his flaws, came across as more genuine, more human, and, yes, more relatable than his polished but distant opponents. When voters looked at Kamala Harris, they saw a politician reciting carefully rehearsed lines. When they looked at Trump, they saw someone who spoke from the gut. That contrast, authenticity versus artifice, was enough to change the entire game.
Champion in Washington. They have the courts, they have the House and the Senate, and you totally left me unguarded.